Namaskar, a very special good evening to all of you. And today on the World Mental Health Week 2021, we have a very special guest with us, Honorable Dr. ULRICH BERK sir from Germany. He is an Agnihotra scientist and also president of German Homa Association. And his today's topic is the effect of Agnihotra on our mind. So we are very blessed and privileged to having Sir with us on this platform on World Mental Health Week 2021. So not taking too much time, now I would like to request our chief guest speaker, Honorable Dr. Alris sir, to kindly proceed his topic. And anyone has any questions related to it, he or she can put in comment box during live streaming in YouTube. So thank you so much, sir, once again for your valuable time.
Okay, thanks a lot, Samyak, for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here again with you and happy to talk about the subject effects of Agnihotra on our mind. The subject of this World Mental Health Week is mental health care for self-actualization. See, everybody wants to be happy, and happiness is a state of the mind. Actually, it should be the natural state of our mind, but for most people, it is not. So how can we still our mind to achieve inner peace and harmony so that we ultimately can become united with our true nature, which means self-actualization? And what is it which prevents us from having this inner peace, from being happy all the time? Recent studies show that air pollution affects people's intelligence levels. It affects our well-being, our minds. Then it will be more difficult in this polluted atmosphere to find inner peace and happiness. And how come that pollution, and especially pollution of the atmosphere, has such a profound effect on our minds, put so much pressure on our minds? The reason is we humans are all connected. When people suffer even at the other end of our planet because of war, violence, or famine, all of us are affected. Same if animal kingdom and plant kingdom is suffering. What connects us all is our atmosphere. Atmosphere is polluted as is all of our environment. Besides the air, it's also the soil and water resources. But the worst form of pollution is thought pollution. So the question arises, is there anything which we can do ourselves to reduce the pollution around us and help us to get into a more peaceful state, and this thus also help to make the world a little bit more peaceful? There's one thing, Agnihotra, a healing fire coming from the Vedas, the ancient most knowledge of mankind. Agnihotra purifies the atmosphere and thus positively affects our mind. Long-time meditators said that when sitting in Agnihotra atmosphere, they reach a deep state of inner peace within minutes. Normally, that would take them half an hour or so. In this presentation, I will describe this method of Agnihotra and explain how these effects come about. Already in the Vedas, methods are mentioned to purify our atmosphere. And also it was mentioned that the basic tool, Agnihotra, is one of the daily duties of householder. Agnihotra is a nitya karma, a daily practice, strongly recommended by the Vedas, which every individual has to perform. This helps in purifying the atmosphere, basically. And that is very important nowadays, because we have to deal with an overall pollution. Pollution of the atmosphere through harmful bacteria, chemicals, and particles. In recent years, also nanoparticles. Pollution of the soil through acid rains and through all the agrochemicals which are now used in so-called modern farming. and pollution of our water resources by industrial effluents, household effluents, and all the agrochemicals which eventually go down to the subsoil water and then to the rivers. And even worse, nuclear radiation, which after Chernobyl and Fukushima is widely spread. Prana, the life energy which pulsates through all the cosmos, through all of nature, cannot flow harmoniously in an environment so much polluted. The origin of all forms of pollution is thought pollution. A person with a clear mind would not pollute his environment, would not pollute Mother Earth. And also, all our thoughts and emotions leave some imprint on our atmosphere. They remain there like subtle objects which most of us cannot see, but still they have an effect on our mind. Negative thoughts and emotions like anger, greed, violence, which are prevalent nowadays, thus influence everybody, whether we are aware of that or not. Thought energy even has an effect on plants. An experiment done at Pantnagar Agriculture University showed higher germination rates when the seeds were kept for a few days in a room where regular meditation went on. Many methods like yoga and meditation help to reduce the effect of thought pollution on our mind. But what if we could deal with the root cause of the problem, that is polluted environment which interferes with the flow of prana? This is exactly what Agnihotra and Homa therapy do. How does that work? What is the modus operandi? With Homa therapy, we purify our atmosphere, our environment. It is stated that by inducing a change in the atmosphere, you bring about a change in functioning of prana, life energy. This has very beneficial effects on our minds, as prana and mind are like two sides of the same coin. Prana and mind, two sides of the same coin. Now, you purify the atmosphere, and thus prana flows harmoniously, and in that way, immediately our mind is affected positively. So, how can we purify our atmosphere and thus positively influence prana and mind? The answer is Agnihotra. Here you see a photo taken in Chile a couple of years ago, where there are a lot of people sitting together for evening Agnihotra. It creates a wonderful atmosphere, especially if more people do it at the same time. What is Homa therapy? Homa therapy is based on Agnihotra, and Agnihotra is the smallest and simplest Homa healing fire, which is tuned to the specific biorhythm of sunrise and sunset. It comes from ancient, most Vedic knowledge. And Agnihotra, for Agnihotra, you need first a copper pyramid of fixed size and shape. Then the ingredients are dried cow dung, ghee, clarified or unsalted cow's butter, and make sure that it's purely cow's ghee. Otherwise, it will not work. Some unpolished rice, unbroken pieces only, and two simple mantras, which is exact vibration, and a timetable of sunrise and sunset, exact to the second. Why these mantras? Why the exact time? There's a description of sunrise in ancient tradition which says, at sunrise, the many fires, electricities, ethers, and more subtle energies emanating from the sun extend all the way to the earth and produce a flood effect at those coordinates where the sun appears to rise. This flood has subtle music in it, and the quintessential sound of that music is the mantra which we do at that time. Interesting is that a similar description was given by an American astrophysicist, Dr. Clarash, and he says million ampere currents head in towards sunrise and out along sunset. And you see this his drawing. Also interesting, some physicists from Ukraine, formerly Soviet Union, in Kiev, they measured some kind of subtle energy, and there was a peak exactly at the time of sunrise, as you can see here. Now, what are the mantras? The mantras are very simple. 2 mantras in the morning, 2 mantras in the evening. In the morning, it is Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. And in the even and after Swaha, you add 1 portion of rice mixed with ghee to the fire. In the evening, it's Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. What happens? According to this ancient knowledge, it says that a channel is created throughout all the atmosphere, and prana energy, life energy, which lies above our atmosphere, comes down through this channel and creates an aura energy field around all plants in the vicinity. Therefore, these plants get nutrition, they get disease resistant, and when the flame dies, this energy comes and is collected in the Agnihotra ash. Therefore, the ash has healing properties, is very good for as a nutrient for your plants. It can be used in medicine for animals, for people, and also for your plants. So the effects of Agnihotra and of homotherapy consists of Agnihotra plus some additional other yajnas and techniques, is that the environment is purified, the atmosphere, soil, and water resources. It has a very beneficial effect on plants, therefore in agriculture and horticulture, and also in human health, including psychotherapy and drug de-addiction. I just give a few examples. The effects of Agnihotra atmosphere, pathogenic bacteria are reduced. That is very obvious to see. At the left side, you see a petri dish which has some nutrient in it. It was opened for 10 minutes before Agnihotra, then closed and sent for incubation. At the right side, you see a similar petri dish which was opened for 10 minutes after Agnihotra, and then closed and sent for incubation. And you see the difference is obvious. Much more bacteria are there developing when before Agnihotra. So Agnihotra reduces all the bacteria in the atmosphere. About soil, water holding capacity of the soil increases, water solubility of phosphorus increases. There were interesting experiments about that. And then both acidic soil as well as alkaline soil come back to normal. That is very important. So in general, you can say soil health is improved, and that is very much important because on this on this layer, very thin layer of soil, all our life depends, because plants grow in this soil, and without plants, we all could not survive. About water resources, drinking water can be cleaned. There was several experiments. One was you pour water, polluted water, through a column of Agnihotra ash, and what comes out was drinking water quality, although the original water was very much polluted. Then high salinity and acidity from well water is brought back to normal. And even whole rivers show an improved water quality in the vicinity of Homa places. That experiment was done in Maheshwar at a homotherapy place there. And there were several research stations which checked water quality regularly. Some were upstream, some were downstream, and the water quality, both of the test places upstream and downstream, were worse than that at the homotherapy place in Maheshwar. Also, on a subtle, the energy level of water improves on a subtle level, which you can see here. These were photos taken by a Japanese scientist, Emoto, Dr. Emoto. And what he did is he took drops of water and shock froze them and then made photos. And left side, you see a photo of tap water in Tokyo, and there's no crystallization. He says that is just dead water. And at the right side, you see the photo of a drop of water where Agnihotra ash was added. So you see nice crystallization. Now let's come to Agnihotra and human health. Today, even conventional medicine accepts the notion that our mind is connected with our physical well-being. Therefore, it's not surprising that purifying the atmosphere by homotherapy methods, thus inducing a beneficial change in our minds, also has tremendous healing effects on our physical and mental body. And just a few examples. We saw that blood pressure is regulated. If it's too high, it comes down. If it's too low, it comes up. Asthma could be healed, as well as diabetes, depression, schizophrenia and aggression, drug addiction. And if you are interested, there's a lot of reports on such healings available on www.homahealth.com. This is just a chart with blood pressure. You see the first couple of patients, they had high blood pressure, it came down, and at the end, the patients, they had low blood pressure, it came up. And blood pressure is especially interesting because normally people who have high blood pressure, that is normally the main problem. Those patients have to take medication which have a lot of side effects, and normally they have to be taken for the rest of their life. So if you can control blood pressure in a more natural way with Agnihotra, that could help many people. Then I want to mention one incident that was a long time back in 1985. There was a big accident in Bhopal, where at the Union Carbide factory, there was an accident and some explosion, and MIC gas was leaked, and that killed a lot of people, and tens of thousands of people. They were seriously injured. But in those households where Agnihotra was performed, nothing happened to these people. No fatality, and not even some small health problems. Agnihotra saved these people. There were reports in national newspapers about that. So that was a very interesting, big result. Now let's look at some experimental results of the effects of Agnihotra on the human mind. And I want to remind you of the graphics which I showed you before. the relation between prana and mind. Prana and mind can be seen as the two sides of the same coin. Whatever affects prana immediately affects the mind, and vice versa. And the atmosphere has an effect on prana. So if we purify our atmosphere, the flow of prana is regulated, it is harmonious, and therefore our mind immediately gets a positive effect. Now, modern science has not yet been able to measure prana energy, of which the Vedas talk. But we did one experiment, and that indicates that the energy field of Agnihotra is some kind of prana. Okay, I will shortly mention that experiment. We had seen that Agnihotra ash purifies water, but also if you keep a bottle of contaminated water next to Agnihotra, the water will be purified. You just keep the bottle, you close it with a lid next to Agnihotra, and after some time, you measure the quality and compare with water which you kept at the lab from same source. And there is no chemical reaction because no ash was added, and also the fumes of Agnihotra could not go into the bottle because we had kept the bottle closed with a lid. So that means that Agnihotra must create some kind of energy field which leads to this water purification. The question is, what is this energy field? In order to find out more about it, we performed the following experiments. Water bottles were filled with contaminated water from Narmada River. And we took approximately 30 of these bottles, and some bottles were immediately sent to the lab and were kept in the lab. And the other bottles were kept in Agnihotra room for 5 days. And half of the bottles in the Agnihotra room were kept in metal containers to shield off electromagnetic radiation. Parameters tested were pH, DO, dissolved oxygen, COD, chemical oxygen demand, total hardness, and coliform bacteria. Here you see the arrangement of the bottles, and you see at the left side all the water bottles which were kept in a metal container. And the right side, the water bottles themselves. Here you see the arrangement in total. And now the result was, just look at the last column. Reduction of coliform bacteria is between 68 and 70%. And the most interesting thing is, it does not matter whether these whether the water bottles were kept in a metal container or not. That means the energy field of Agnihotra affects the water quality, improves the water quality, regardless of whether the water is shielded by metal containers or not. And as you know, these metal containers, they act as Faraday cage, means they do not let electromagnetic radiation go through. Now, if you are exactly speaking, there are some electromagnetic radiation which would enter the high energy radiation like X-rays and so on. But this could be excluded in a different experiment, so that we don't have. So that shows, as normal electromagnetic radiation does not go through these bottles, it shows that the Agnihotra energy field of Agnihotra is going beyond the electromagnetic spectrum. But the question is, if it is not electromagnetic, then what kind of energy is it? That is a challenge for the science of physics. And hopefully, if some people are looking into that matter more carefully, that will finally help us to understand more about prana energy. Till then, we can just make use of this prana energy, although it cannot be measured directly. Still, we see the effects. Now, let us look at some experimental results we got regarding Agnihotra and our mind. One thing is stress and anxiety. That's a big problem. And for most people nowadays, and now in the situation of corona restrictions, corona problems, it is even much more so. And many testimonials and studies show that regular performance of Agnihotra reduces stress, fear, depression, and anxiety. And we have a notable boost for the immune system, which is very important if the body has to defend against such diseases like COVID-19. That was a study done in Moscow several years ago. A group of people came for Agnihotra regularly for 2 weeks, and anxiety and depression were measured with a questionnaire before and after Agnihotra, at the beginning of the 2 weeks and after the 2 weeks. And you can see a clear reduction in both parameters. Anxiety, the red bars before, white bars at the end after 2 weeks. And depression before, the black bars, green, depression after Agnihotra. So you see both anxiety and depression was reduced a lot. Another very systematic study had been done in Santiago de Chile, the capital of Chile, at medicinal university there. And there was a number of university students which had very high stress levels. They were divided into 2 groups, A and B. And a stress level was measured both by questionnaire and by testing the cortisol level in saliva. Now, both groups were invited to come for a Tai Chi session. And they were told, okay, this Tai Chi will help to reduce the stress. But what the participants did not know, that in the room next to the Tai Chi room where they did Tai Chi, Agnihotra was performed for one group, the group B. And then after that, stress level was checked again. So first thing, they tested the stress level with a questionnaire. And before that, 100% of the participants of both groups, they had very high stress level. Now, after the Tai Chi, the stress level only 41%, 7.7% of the students in the control group, which just had Tai Chi, were under high stress level. But with the students which had done Tai Chi in a room next to Agnihotra, only 8.4% of the student had still high stress level, and means that 91% the stress was basically removed. Now, they also did the test of stress with the saliva, and there was a stress level reduction of 26% for those who just came for Tai Chi, and of minus 41% for those who had Agnihotra next to the Tai Chi room. This experiment was very interesting, but it has some problems because it was only one Agnihotra. Normally, it would have been good to do it for some longer period of time. And then the participants did not perform Agnihotra themselves. They did not even sit for Agnihotra, but only Agnihotra was done in the next room. So the effect would be much better, of course, if the participants would perform Agnihotra themselves for some period of time. And such study has been done in Baltimore by Dr. Henry Gregory, Baltimore University, and by Gautam Bodhipudi. And they had, again, two groups, one control group, one experimental group. And the experimental group, they did Agnihotra for 2 weeks regularly, morning, evening. And the control group, they were meditating for 15 minutes, also morning, evening, but no Agnihotra. The results were quite encouraging. It was tested with a questionnaire, BERK questionnaire, which is one of the standard questionnaire for checking anxiety and stress. And you see here the questions like feeling sad, feeling discouraged, feeling of guilt, tendency to cry, don't sleep well, and so on. And the question of the interview were the energy level, mental clarity, restfulness of sleep, productivity, motivation, sense of fulfillment, and so on. And when they compared the results they got before Agnihotra with those after Agnihotra, then both groups had some change, but the experimental group decrease in the BERK score, which shows all the negative feelings, was 9 times greater than that of the experimental group, was 9 times greater than that of the control group. 9 times more improvement for the people who performed Agnihotra. And the interview questions, the experimental increase was 4 times 2 greater than that of the control group. These were the positive values, like energy level, mental clarity, and so on. So that experiment showed really a great difference in actually performing Agnihotra and just sitting for meditation. Kirlian photography of those who know about that, it shows the energy field of a finger here. And left side, you see a lot of holes in the aura energy around the finger. Right side, just after one Agnihotra, the energy field is much stronger. Another photo before, one person with depression before and after. One last experiment that was done in Moscow in Russia again, that was EEG before Agnihotra, after Agnihotra, and the brain waves were measured. And here you see before Agnihotra, the beta waves are strongest, and beta shows that a state of activity and also maybe stress. Alpha shows more a relaxed state. So here, beta is 70%, alpha is 17%. Now, after Agnihotra, beta came down from 70 to 22, and alpha went up from 17 to approximately 57%. So, just one Agnihotra showed a very much improved state of the brain measured by the EEG. So we can say effects of our mind, of Agnihotra, are our atmosphere is filled with love and peace. This leads to more clarity of mind. Our health is improved. This purified atmosphere helps to still the mind. And thus self-actualization, which was the topic of the Health Week, is made easier for all of us. One last thing, on 13th of October, my friend and colleague Barry Rathner will talk about mental health and spiritual health are same in the same series of lectures organized by Divya Karuna. And his lecture will look at the same subject from a different angle. So I recommend that you join that also. Thank you. These are my contact details. You can contact me best by email, Dr. Ulrich Berg at Homa Therapie. Mind the German spelling, it is IE instead of Y.de. And the web pages, homatherapie.de, homahealth.com, homatherapyindia.com, and homatherapy.org. Okay, thanks a lot. And hope it helped you. And please contact me if there are any queries. And
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful and scientific presentation about Agnihotra and its effects on mind. You have explained very well about the effects. I have two or three questions from my side. First one is, what will be your message to the mental health professional on this mental health week occasion? They should implement this Agnihotra technique for the treatment of mental health issues. What will be your message to them? How they can implement it?
yeah, see, um, best would be to, in any place where you treat mental patients, to have a room where you perform Agnihotra regularly, and then also some additional yajna like the Trambakam fire. And and then patients could come and sit in that room for some time, and they would get better. We had one in Germany, one place where we kept such a room with Agnihotra and these fires. We didn't do anything else in this room. And then several times it happened that people who had depression, we just asked them, come sit there in the room for, say, 20 minutes, half an hour. And they came out and they felt much better. So this improves any good therapy which they do in such a healing place. And it makes the life of the therapist easier. And also, if such a therapist deals with patients, mental patients, all the time, he is surrounded by a lot of negative energy. So the question is, who uh, who treats the therapist? And with Agnihotra, it is easy. The fire does that. So the negative energy, which he's confronted with all the time, it can be dissolved by this Agnihotra fire. So having such a place, one room in any hospital, mental hospital, or doctor's office with Agnihotra would help a lot to make the life of the therapist easier and to help all the patients.
Thank you so much, sir. Second question, how someone who wants to start this Agnihotra practice, how he or she can avail the Agnihotra kit from your side? What is the procedure to avail it?
That depends, of course, on where this person is. In Europe, we have online shops, both from the place in Poland, Pogorania, and in Germany, where you can order things. In US, also there's one website, and it's I think agnihotra.org. And in India, I mentioned that before. That is Homa. I think I would give you the contact information of the closest place where you can get the Agnihotra kit and the supplies like cow dung and so on.
Uh, Thank you so much, sir. As
And
we have,
one more thing is
yes,
the Agnihotra timings, because the timings are so important. That is made very easy now because we have uh, an app which shows you the timing, sunrise, sunset timing, very easily for your place, for exactly your place. Earlier, we had to find coordinates and do some calculation. Now it's very easy. This app does it all itself. The app is called Agnihotra Buddy, Buddy. Buddy means friend. So that that is very easy, and the app it's free and it's available both for Android phones and for iPhones.
it is really a great app. Nowadays, it is a very unique app too. And as we know, we have blessings with this eternal fire practice named as Agnihotra by our rishis, and you are propagating it through worldwide in a very scientific and in a very excellent manner. So, on this platform, on this day, through this session, what will be your message to the WHO or the United Nations? Because they have so many problems in the world, there seems problems, but you have the solution. We have the solution. To what will be your message to them, to these organizations, to whole world and humanity related to Agnihotra for solving these problems?
If they really want to help people, then why not start some research to find out how this ancient technique helps? We would be happy to help them, to guide them to do such research by, helping them with performing Agnihotra and instructing them about that. But to do some systematic research with many people, like nowadays, we have this big problem with Corona, COVID-19 all over the world. And we have seen that people who perform Agnihotra have much less problems, normally no problems with it. They get less infected. If they do, they overcome the disease without big problems. Why not start a research in hospitals where they have COVID patients? Everybody is concerned. Doctors, nurses, all are afraid to go there. Why not do a research in such places that Agnihotra is performed and to see how that helps? I tried myself to initiate such research, but it's so complicated because you need some support from government institutions. You need some permission for that. And so if in organizations like WHO would do some, wants to do really help people, then doing such research would be very, very important. And it is relatively cheap. I mean, they throw out billions and billions of dollars for vaccination and for so many other programs. And such a research would cost maybe $100,000, not even $10,000. For $10,000, you can do a lot, but some official permission is needed, and therefore they really could help a lot. And then if they find out, yes, okay, it works, then of course they could just share this knowledge all over the world. And that would be really a great service to humanity.
Truly, very wonderful advice or suggestion from your side. I think anyone from member from these organization who will listen this session try to implement your advice, and it
Yes.
will truly help the humanity. So at last, I want a conclude remark from your side on this World Mental Health Week. What will be your message on this occasion to the whole the humanity in short?
See, nowadays we live in a very special time, and everybody feels something is going wrong. It's not normal as it was before, and many people suffer from that, and that's understandable. But also, it is a chance to go inside, uh, to look inside, because it's not just the outside circumstances which affect us. It is always the question, how do we react to these circumstances? And to look more inside, to look uh, more, take it more serious, the self-actualization, the question, who am I, why I'm here, um, and to find the true self and connect with the true self. And for that, uh, I mean, that is actually also the purpose why we are here on this planet, the purpose of this life. Purpose of the life is not to earn money, create a family, buy some nice car, build a great house, become rich. That is not the purpose of life. You may do that. Also, it's okay. Sometimes it's also fun, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is really to go inside and find out who we really are. And the question, why are we here? How can we help others? And for that, again, this Agnihotra is a great tool. It helps us to to get a clearer mind and to get rid of all kinds of uh, addictions and attachments, and find out who we really are, and then to concentrate on those things which are really important in life.
Truly, it is a very insightful and true message for humanity to find out their real self or their true self. It is very important part of human life. So, thank you so much, sir, once again for your valuable time, your session. And with your permission, I would like to stop this session now. If you,
Okay, permission granted, of course. Thanks a lot, Samyak. Thanks a lot. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I wish you all the best for the coming days of this series of lectures. And all the best to you also. Thanks and namaste.
thank you so much, sir.